Well, welcome back to yet another Clutch Burners podcast. I'm super excited to be sitting here with my buddy, the Canadian Chuck Norris. That's right, Richard Guido is over there on the mic, hot mic.
We have a special guest again tonight. It's like Street and
That's
Yeet.
Yeah.
That's right, Mr.
Maybe
Aaron White. Yes, so you've got myself, BangShift Billy, Canadian Chuck Norris, and Aaron White on the hot mics tonight.
You guys must be really struggling to get people on here because I didn't know a fifth place finish at Street and Yeet would get you on the podcast.
Well, you are a member of the Brotherhood of BTUs with the Delta Lambdas, so that might help.
That's with those cars that were winning that deal, kind of a lot too. So I know a few things. I can peel back the curtain for you, so hopefully.
Well, you've got a whole lot of stuff we want to talk about.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And maybe some secret stuff we're going to just leverage out of you as we talk. She'll threaten you with a little, I don't know, arm bar or a little choking out or something. Rich, why don't you start off with some questions? Did you did most of the homework on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of know some of the story, but so why don't you tell us first about what do you do for a living?
Oh, if you're going to start off with the secrets, no, I'm just kidding. It's not that secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my day job is I am a valve spring engineer. I'm actually the engineering manager of a valve spring company that is exclusively in racing and does NASCAR valve springs. So it's a long story on how on earth I actually ended up in that role. But to save a little bit of time, let's just say I was working for a race team. And one of the things that kind of happens a lot of times in racing is if you can't get what you want on the open market, going out and buying it, a lot of times you just have to do it yourself. And really, that's the story of how we got started at CT.
So you don't have to cut any of this short. I want to hear the whole story.
Okay. All right. So
and I think you like to talk a little bit. You're pretty good at it. So just go for it.
I'll take the second half of that as a compliment. Yeah. So I went to, back all the way up. My family's been in racing and NASCAR racing for forever. And so I just decided that, my dad always told me, he's like, you don't have to do this. And I was like, well, what if I want to do this? And my passion watching my dad chase race cars was in engines. So I decided very early in like 8th grade, I was like, I'm going to go be an engine guy. That's what I want to do. I love engines. Engines are my thing. Let's go be an engine guy. And that kind of set the stage for where I was going to go to college and that I needed to get a mechanical engineering degree. And I was extremely blessed and fortunate that before I ever even finished college, I was already hired at a Premier Cup engine company, ECR. So I was going to college and I was working there, to call it as an intern, like 3 days a week. And I would drive north to go up there and then drive an hour south to go back to college and work till about midnight and go home and sleep and then do it again, the next day. And that was a bit of a grind for about 6 months. And then I finally got that degree on a Tuesday and I was at the shop on Wednesday morning ready to be an engineer. So there was no summer break that year. There was no break at all. It was just, let's just go faster. And so I did that I was 90% of my time to start out with was all just quality engineering. And then that kind of transitioned itself into a few design moments, call it. And then that transitioned into a lot of failure analysis. And so one of the things that I did a lot of is trying to figure out why valve springs broke. And my manager at that time was also trying to figure out why valve springs break and how to make them better. And so there was kind of a project in the back going on to fix the valve springs to the next level. There's been a few key moments in valve spring technology that have been huge for the entire industry. And so we're kind of pushing to try to hit that next level. And so it really was just a case of, we think we can do it better. And we're going to do the time and the research and the development and the legwork and the money to make that happen. And so that ended up transitioning from an R&D project to a in-house, pipeline of parts. And then that quickly transitioned into a real business that started up in little old Lexington, North Carolina, and is now a premier valve spring company for NASCAR Cup and Xfinity racing, just here in our backyard, here in racing's backyard. So yeah, that's kind of the story of how that came about. And I like to think I was good at what I was doing and also at the right place at the right time. And I just made this shift from engineer to engineering manager at a valve spring company. And that in itself was its own learning curve. But I've been doing that now for 5 years, 4 years, 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there. It all kind of blurs together because I was working on the project before I actually officially left to come to the new company. So
Sure.
we've been working on it it's probably a 15-year project at this point, but we've been our own company now for about 4. And yeah, it's been really successful. Won 2 championships this year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
Now, is that the championship of not breaking a valve spring or championship of racing?
Now that's the Xfinity championship with Richard Childress in the 2 car, and the Cup championship with Kyle Larson in the 5. So
yeah, I'm joking, but that's seriously impressive. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, we pride ourselves obviously on winning. Like, winning's the goal, but also no breaks is the goal, right? I mean, that's for a valve spring company. That's the hard part about that is not making the best spring. It's making the perfect spring every single time. And so being able to have that level of quality that they can rely on, trying to make sure that the worst spring that goes out of our facility is not only good enough, but is the same spring as the best spring that goes out of the facility is it's a lot of work, honestly. It's a big undertaking because there's a vast number of springs that have to go out of that place.
So, Aaron, let's dive into that a little bit. Like, talk to me about, like, I want to start a valve spring company. Like, where do you get the metal? Like, do you wind it yourself? Like,
It's custom. It's all custom, man. It's all like when I say I was working on the project, there's numerous machines in that building that we designed from scratch that we made in-house that, like, they didn't exist in the world. There's nowhere to go buy them. We just had to make it. That's just really all there was to it. So that's how you do it. You go pick one thing and you do that the best you possibly can, and then you find the next thing that is not good enough, and then you fix that and you do that the best you possibly can. And you just do that about 60 times and you'll have a shot at it.
wow.
And
So, yeah.
for those of us who've never done any circle track racing like that, like, what kind of RPMs do you run? And I don't know how much. I know that there's probably all kinds of secrets out there, but is it like a double spring, a triple spring, and approximate valve spring pressure and lift?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know if you're allowed to say.
most of that I probably can't. But I mean, I can touch on some of that stuff. The RPM has come down a lot over the last 8-ish years. When I first got into it, 9,700 to 10,000 was kind of what was normal. Now we're about 9,000. Is kind of we design for. We like to be safe a little past 9,000 for, like, the mechanical over revs, mainly on road course. It's the only place you're going to see that. Most of the racing is under 9,000. But the thing that I try to, like, it's hard to really kind of explain unless you're really, really into valve train stuff, is that the speed of the valve is really what matters. The speed of the valve at 10,000 RPM can be the speed of the valve at 8,800 RPM whenever you spend years and years and years and years developing this package, the same package, right? Like, this engine is unbelievably overdeveloped. So when that happens, you end up with basically finding the limit and backing it off like this much, and then you just live there. And so that's kind of what we do. It's a game of making sure that you're just good enough, but you want to extract, everything out that you possibly can, because a lot of times when I'm giving tours and stuff, I try to explain to everybody that power is inversely proportional to spring life. You can, however hard you hammer that valve spring, you can move that valve faster, get that valve open, get more air in faster. When you can do that faster and trap air quicker, and you can open and close later because you're opening so much faster, then all that energy has to go somewhere. And unfortunately, it's at the cost of the valve spring.
Do they have valve spring sprayers on those vehicles?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big knob to turn. There's both power and durability there. That's where I'll leave that.
So, okay, so I have a quick question.
Them on my car.
Yeah, I know Rich has them on his car, and I don't, but I would say that maybe flooded isn't the right word, but I know I'm putting a fair amount of oil to the top end.
Yeah.
And I've not had oil control issues, but since I've made some changes, I haven't had any valvetrain issues either. And you and I have talked a bit about that as well. But is there an advantage to sprayers versus just flooding the valvetrain?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a like much broader topic as well in its own right. Like how high you flood is a key, portion of that, and how the valves are arranged in the head. Like if you're canted and if you're inline, like all of this stuff matters. Like a lot of that stuff is kind of nuanced to the particular engine architecture. But like, what are you running, Bill? Is it a small block Ford?
Of course.
Big block Ford, small block Ford?
Yeah, yeah. So small block Ford,
Okay.
Windsor platform, and an inline
So you're running
valves.
one setup, yeah.
Yeah,
So
trick flow.
basically, your oil level, right, is going to equally affect your intake and your exhaust. But
Right. Yep.
one of those is going to run at quite a bit higher temperature than the other. So like that's got to remember that as well. But basically, how much you flood is really important. The best thing you can do, the best way I can put it is, there's a lot of pumping losses that goes into being flooded. And if you have a valve spring that is in a viscous fluid and you are trying to take this spring, retainer, rocker arm, all that stuff and travel it, imagine waving your hand underneath water versus doing it in air. A whole lot easier
Sure.
to do it in air.
Yep.
So there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of damping that goes along with having a flooded setup. But that's one of those things that our good old buddy Ben would say: if you've done one valve train, you've done one valve train. Like you really gotta test. You really don't know. I can't sit and tell you that, oh, you need to be this way or oh, you need to be that way. You really got to do the testing. But there is limit speed to be had by unflooding and going to a sprayer and doing full drains. So that comes from that damping. Lots to unpack there that's probably outside of the scope of this, but yeah, that's a big place to look.
It makes me think, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about Matt Blasco in the very first event we went on. So he had a pretty spicy Mopar motor that was very expensive, and he went on the first drive, and the first gas station we stopped at, he's like, man, I can hear everything. He's like, I don't think I could do this. He says, I just can't blow this thing up. He's like, because he's very mechanical. And so he knows what's going on, much like you do. And so I gave him some earplugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave him. Yeah. And so I gave him some earplugs.
I've come to love cheap engines.
Sorry, I think I'm a little laggy.
I just said I've come to love cheap engines.
Right? Yeah.
It's willing to push the pedal a lot longer and a lot farther on those.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute for sure.
Yeah, I know. That.
Yeah, why don't we roll into that? But it is true. Like the more you can hear what's going on, and the more your brain knows what's going on, it almost makes drag and drive harder because you're like, oh my God, everything's hot. What was that noise? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the drives that get that stuff.
Yeah.
You're in the car for 6 hours and you just start hearing phantom noises that you're just like, what was that? I don't know what that was. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you've done some drag and drives, correct? Before this.
I think before 7. Yeah, I think I'm on number 7 now.
And you did one in your own car before in your Vet, correct?
I've actually done quite a few in the Vet now. So I'll roll into that. I think it's pertinent. The way that the Corvette came about, I have a 2006 C6 Z06, and it's a ridiculously awesome car. I love the thing to death. But what happened was my buddy Rob, we were changing his setup like completely from LT1 nitrous car to twin turbo LS, and it was a complete 180. And we had a lot to do. And we were switching ECUs and rewiring the car, and like basically what happened is we ran out of time in 2023, and so we were gonna take his car. We finished it, and we went to go pull out of the driveway, and the drive shaft was hitting the drive shaft loop, and the tires were rubbing, and the brakes were spongy, and it was like, man, we can throw this in the trailer and get there, and then we can just struggle with all of the dumb stuff for the next And so it just wasn't worth it. It felt wrong to try to take the car. And we knew it needed to be, it had never been on a racetrack. It needed to be tested like crazy. And so we just decided, all right, well, let's just hop in Aaron's Corvette and go drive it. I overnighted tires on Friday and I drove it to Virginia Motorsports Park on Sunday. And so we went up there and ran Midwest Drags in 2023. He really wanted to do that. He really wanted to do that event because they were going to go back to his home track in New Jersey. And I thought it was really cool. I wanted him to get it to run his car, but I actually PB'd the vet in New Jersey at his home track, and they ended up shutting down that track like a few months later. And I was glad that Rob actually drove the car as well. We both drove the car. We had to do 2 passes each day. That was kind of a Midwest Drags thing. And so we each turned in a pass, right? Like even if we had 2 better passes with one driver, we each turned in 1 pass. And that car's super easy to drive. He tried his best to completely delete the diff on the first pass that he ever ran with that car. Thankfully, GM made it strong enough. I will still give him heck for that. I literally told him, it's like, man, just leave like you're at a stoplight and then put your foot to the floor and it'll be fine. And he just clutch dumped it like it was his car off the chip. Like I have no idea. As he always tells me, he just blacked out. He just did it. So that was the vet's debut, and the problem was it like did really good. It wasn't like breathtakingly fast or anything, but it's still a ton of fun to rip down a drag strip, and it does run pretty good, and it's super cushy to do a drag and drive with. It's got heated seats and air, and I mean it's like the perfect drag and drive car. You just hop in it, it starts every time. All you got to do, I do something really weird. I actually changed the front wheels. I carried the skinnies around with me and put my regular street wheels on the front to go right around in the street, and I just drive around on the radials in the back. And so I've got 315s on the back and 285s in the front. Like I can do 90 and like not even know I'm going anywhere. And I got all these race cars around me that like you get over 60 and they start, crying wolf, like stop. So anyway, I had a ton of fun with it and ran a couple of Carolina drag cruises, at least 1 Street and Yeet. If not, I think 1 Street and Yeet, 2 Carolina drag cruises, and 1 Midwest. So I guess 4 in the Corvette. And I got to the point where, just to be quite honest, I was like, man, I'm taking this car that, at least to me, is super nice and has excellent paint, and one that I won't even leave in my own driveway. If I'm at home, I go make sure, like, I'll wake my kids up to go park it in the garage. But on a drag and drive, I'll just leave this thing in a hotel parking lot, sitting under an oak tree getting, hammered by nature. And it felt very backwards. And then, you start thinking about it kind of like in the game of statistics, and not to mention all the rubber that gets put on the fenders that you got to come home and clean off, and the wear and tear that's going into the car, and the fact that it's, going on 20 years old now, which is crazy for me to think. And parts are getting harder to find and becoming more expensive to find. And, they're very unique for a Corvette. And then you start playing this game of thinking of like all the number of passes that you've made that are, next to somebody else that is not of your choosing, that you are assuming that is going to make good choices as they go down the drag strip. And unfortunately, you see some stuff go wrong. And I'm not pointing fingers at any of those people. It's like bad things happen sometimes. But I just got to the point where I started getting really uncomfortable continuing to do that to that car. I didn't think I was doing it justice, and definitely didn't feel like a good financial choice.
Come on now, stick shift racing. You're talking
No,
about poor decisions and financial choices. You're on the wrong podcast, buddy.
I would much rather take that car and sell it and dump it right back into a complete pile of crap that goes really fast. So where I'm sure we're headed in this conversation, I'll just push it there, is I decided to build my own, actual quote unquote race car. Mainly something that was not only safer, faster, but I don't really care about it so much. Like if I did get into a wall with it, if I did get run over with it, like at the end of the day, here's the spoiler: it's a 91 Foxbody. I've also learned from Street and Yeet that I'm going to have to go unbelievably fast in that car to get anybody to actually recognize that I'm even there, because it's just another Foxbody at a racetrack. It blends in flawlessly. I got absolutely no media coverage whatsoever. Nobody cared that I was even there. Now, all these other guys in these crazy cars, I'm riding around with, Bubba Tucker and Don Flanders in their, these pickup trucks, they get lots of camera flashes whenever they come rolling in. And then there's just some guy in an orange Mustang, follows them in the building. All that to say, that's why I love the car. It turned out great. And first pass down the track, beat the vet by 3 or 4 tenths of a second in an 8 mile, just easily much faster, just because it's a dedicated car. It's 60 foot a half second faster. Like it's an actual stick shift, drag car now.
And how long did it take you from, say, I'm going to build a Foxbody to the event? How long was that timeline?
It was like 4 months.
And did you fall and bang your head just before this happened? Like really hard?
I rode to Montana and back with Rob Warwick in a race car. And then for some reason I was like, hey, this is a great idea. I should do this too. It's the carbon monoxide.
I like the fact that you told us a story about 2023 when you just finished Rob's car. And it's like, this is rubbing, that's rubbing. Good thing we're all slow learners. And then you're thinking, I got 4 months. I should build the car.
Well, the funniest part about that is there was multiple times that I looked at Rob, because I work with Rob too. And so I looked at him at work a couple of times. I can at least think of 2. And I was like, man, this feels like 2023. That's what I've been like talking about, them putting the Mustang together. It's like, this feels like 2023. This feels like the vet's coming out of retirement, like again. He pushed me. He was like, basically what he said was, I've worked way too hard, because he helped me. Like, Rob's my fabricator, basically. He welded all the charge pipes on it. He welded the rear end up. He did the hot side, the cold side, the roll cage. Like, he's a very, very large portion of the car actually getting done. And he pretty much told me, it's like, I've worked way too hard on this for you not to get done. So there was a couple of moments where I was like, what if we just leave it home and I can hop in with you and I'll just ride with you. And he didn't let that happen. We actually did that event. Both of us did that event solo, no co-pilot. So
Wow.
That was more than we thought it would be. I think the plan kind of was we would rely on each other. Like I would go help him set up and he'd come help me set up. But what really happened, Street and Yeet was better this year than it was last year for the class calls, and they kind of had it rolling. And so when you rolled in the gate, pretty much by the time we turned the cars around and got the tires on and the clutch set, and Rob has more to do than I had to do, but by the time we got them set up and ready to roll, they were calling us. There really wasn't any of this like, we'll work on yours and then go to work on mine. It was all we could do to get them turned around and head up there.
So talk a little bit about the car.
Okay.
Where did you get it?
Where did you buy the? Yeah, where'd you buy the engine from?
That too. Oh, let's start with the car itself, because that's kind of funny too.
The car was a buddy of mine that it's actually a buddy of mine that I've been friends with since I was 4, who's also named Aaron. Like he's been one of my best buds forever. He called me up one day. He's like, hey man, this guy that I went to college with has got this 91 Foxbody, hatchback that it was an old drag car and it's a roller, and he just wants to get rid of it. And to make the story short, I went and looked at it and gave the guy $600 for this Foxbody, and it had an 8.8 and it had a roll cage that had been halfway cut out of it. It had a cowl hood on it, and it had a K member, and that's the only like good that I could see in the car really at all. But I mean, I was like, it's just $600. If anybody knows me well enough, I'm a horrible hoarder. I've got like way too much stuff laying around that's not making me enough, time, money, effort, whatever. The story on the car is I just grabbed it because I was like, this seems like a good enough deal, and maybe I'll do something with this at some point. My buddy was talking like, hey man, we can go in together. I'll get some of this, you can get some of that, and we'll put a car together. And he quickly backed out and didn't really have any interest in it. And I was like, yeah, it's $600. Who cares? I'll park it out back. And so it was sitting behind my shop for, I can't even honestly tell you how long I had it. Over a year. It sat out there and got nice and dirty. And then
so it was under an oak tree. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. It was very near one. Yeah, very near one. Got nice and filthy and mildewy. And so after Montana, I hooked the truck to it and pulled it around to the front of the shop and pressure washed it off and rolled it in a bay and took everything off of it and out of it that I didn't want to keep and just started. honestly. The only I will say, I mean, we remade everything, but I did end up using the rear gears that came with the car. Pretty much, that's pretty much it. And then the K member, I did salvage. I took the K member off and blasted it and painted it. The rest of it was just a shell. We had to complete the cage. The cage was whoever had it before wasn't happy with the cage, and they had started to cut it out. So they had cut it out from the main hoop forward. So we redid that, and from there I got new, lower control arms and coilovers and brakes and wheels.
God, if you didn't have to put gears in it, you saved like $200.
I know, right?
Woo!
That's $200 out of that $600. I had a $400 car and I didn't even know it.
Man, what? I love it. I love it.
Man math right there. Yeah. So because I told you I'm a hoarder, I also may or may not have had a C6 CO6 turbo kit that I had previously acquired and stuffed in the barn because I never got around to putting it on. And because I'm a hoarder, I may or may not have had a faceplated T56 sitting in the floor that I wasn't using. And because I'm a hoarder, I may or may not have had like 5 or 6, engines that were in the corner that, I wasn't using. Because I'm a hoarder, I had a seat. Because I'm a hoarder, I had a ton of this random stuff.
No, those engines would have been small block Fords because it's a Ford Mustang, right?
Gen 2 small block Fords.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I understand.
The fixed version that's really good.
Right. The heads interchange, but that's about it, right?
That's about it. Now,
Okay.
yes, let the world know that I'm an LS guy. I used to not be, and then I got my hands on one, and it's like putting Legos together. And like I love the gaskets; they're easy to put on, and they share a lot of stuff, with Gen 1 small block Chevy. So anyway, that part is nice. That they're really easy to throw together, which is the engine story. So I have this really awesome engine that I'm putting together for this car. Part of the story as well is I am getting into a new ECU that I've never used before. And so between a couple of turbos that I've never played with before, a new ECU that I haven't played with before, a car that I've never played with before, a transmission that I have driven with before, but never really in this much anger, the likelihood that I grenade something was fairly high. And I accepted that the likelihood that I was going to blow an engine up is probably what was going to happen on this deal. So instead of taking the engine that I'm working on, that's going to be a really nice, zero decked, all the clearances are perfect, de-stroked LS3 that's going to have this Cali's valvetrain package that I'm working with them on so that we can turn 1,000,000 RPM on stock lifters and all the stock valvetrain components. That thing's going to be super cool. It's going to end up in the car. I'm hopeful that we make it by April for a Carolina drag cruise, but we'll see. I'm not going to rush it because I don't have a ton of time, and I'm just going to make sure that I don't want to rush that. It's going to be right. But because I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste a ton of money on that really nice engine, I took a random 5.3 that I had brought in as a core and slapped it together in like 3 hours one night while I was on a Zoom call with you guys. I measured absolutely nothing. I reused head gaskets. I took it straight out of the sloppy handbook and did the absolute worst possible assembly of an engine that anybody could. Like, if my colleagues at ECR watch any of this stuff, they're going to cry a little inside because I did everything wrong. Like, the only thing that I did right was torque the main studs and the rod bolts like to some value that I grabbed off the internet. Like it was the wrong way to do it.
You change the oil in it, right?
I haven't yet. I had to have it yet. It has got it's got the cheapest O'Reilly's conventional oil in it that I could get to break it in, and I was gonna change the oil for Street and Yeet, and then I didn't.
Wait a minute, broke it in though. It was used. Did you put fresh rings in it or anything like that?
No, but I mean, I saw them; they were there.
Oh, it was already broken in then. You're
They
fine.
were used. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Honestly, I can't remember if I dingle homed it or not. I probably didn't. I really don't like the thing about this engine. You got to understand is it's a cookie cutter 5.3, right? And so the story on the engine was it was in my buddy's car. I did some tuning for him. I don't know what he did, but somehow or another he wiped the bearings out of it. He wiped the mains and the rods out of it. Like completely didn't hurt anything other than it killed bearings. And so he had no oil pressure, took it out, put something else in, and then sold it to me for a couple $100. I don't even remember what it was.
The same price as a gear set, probably.
Yeah, something exactly. Yeah. So all I did was I took that engine in, And what I found, like, I couldn't even believe this, but the crankshaft that he had in that thing was turned 40 thousandths under. I could not even find 40 thousandths bearings to replace if I was even able to polish the crankshaft. So that thing rode around in my truck bed for a couple years and is a pile of junk. It's scrap. I found a crank. It may have been one that came out of Rob's motor. I honestly don't know. It was a random 5.3 crank that I had laying around. LS, it's a stock stroke LS crank. And so I put it in with a set of they're new bearings. I mean, I took them out of the box, and put them in.
Just a baller. I mean, new bearings. Wow.
Yeah, same with the mains. When I say I measured nothing, I measured nothing. I mean, it rolled whenever I bolted it down. Like I could turn the engine, and that was the level of measurement that I did. And like I said, I reused some old MLX head gaskets that I had taken off of another engine that are actually 4/100 bores, completely the wrong bore size for that engine, but why not? And then the camshaft that was in it, lifters that were in it, push rods that were in it, springs that were in it, just BTR 660, regular old set of valve springs. That thing is so unbelievably unremarkable. I can't even begin but it sounds amazing. Like Rob's first comment when we fired it up was, "This thing sounds way too good for what it is." It's got a nice little chop to it. It's got 45 pounds of oil pressure at idle and 65, 70 at 7,000. It loves it. It loves it. I mean, I accidentally overboosted it 28 pounds of boost 3 times on Street and Yeet, and then made more passes after that. Like it just doesn't seem to care. So I'll take the win.
Nice.
Yeah,
And then,
I was
sorry,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
it's crazy how many people build high. Like I think of my buddy Kyle Buntley, like showing up at Six Smokies, brand new 427, all built, literally first pass, blows it up and has problems, and then he runs just a stock 5.3. It really speaks to the GM engineers that create these things, and how you can still slap one together with a bunch of different parts and do
I
amazing
told
things.
Ben, I told Ben whenever I got this thing done, I was like, man, I just built this thing the worst I possibly can, and I will never be able to blow this up. I will do everything
Yeah.
in my power. It will never blow up. Like I know that's how it's going to go, and it's depressing at times, but I'm still going to do the other engine. I'm still going to do the big boy engine, and then this one's probably going to come out, and it's probably going to get stuffed in a corner, and I'll probably blow the other one up like a week before a big race, and then I'll grab this one, shove it back in there, go run the event, win. Come on, cast piston. Like I know how this goes, but I'm still going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That
A
is
funny story.
so
I was
funny.
at Fred from 1320 Video. He was up in Canada, so I went to his birthday party, but I was sitting beside Dario. Dario has an Austin Mini. It's a blue one with a 4.8 LS with a supercharger on top of it and a mailbox for a hood scoop. And Dario is about 6'7", and he literally puts this car on, but it's a burnout car. But he was telling me, he's like, that is a total junkyard 4.8. He says he'll do a burnout for a minute. It'll empty all the water out of the block. It'll pin the temperature gauge, and it cools down. He refills it full of water, and he does it again and again. He runs methanol in it, but it's just stupid reliable, and it's just crazy what you can put them through. And he thought the same thing. He thought, it's going to blow up the first time I go out and do a burnout. Just keeps on going. He's going to go to LS Fest with it again and do the same thing he's been doing. So
Mine might grenade the next time I fire it up. I have no idea. Like for whatever, everything I put it through, like at Street and Yeet, it wasn't like I was going out there and trying to keep up with CJ and Rob every single day. But, shoot, man, it ran great. It did everything I asked it to do, and like I said, it took multiple overboosts like a champ. I mean, we'll see. I'm gonna use that engine to progress the car. I intend to lean on that thing as we do a bunch of testing, and we'll just see what happens to it. But so far, I got my money's worth, I'd say, out of it.
So talk about the times you ran at Street and Yeet.
Yeah. So the very first pass ever on the car was test day 0 at Street and Yeet, and it was ridiculously cold. Like we were flirting in the 40s that whole day, and so DJ and Rob and Kyle and I don't think the Buntleys were even there yet. A lot of the fast guys, a lot of the fast auto guys were struggling to get it on the track. But I was in the scenario of I don't want my very first pass ever to obviously be, the day one. I went and ran it. Very first pass ever, to everyone on the property's surprise, it actually left. It ran a 156, I think 53 or 56, 60 foot, which is like a record 60 foot for me. I've been in a lot of stuff, but not that fast. And I know that that's not that fast. Y'all just got to realize I'm still a newbie at this. But anyway, so I went 153. And after I got my eyeballs, reinserted back in my head where they were supposed to be, I looked down and I was supposed to run it to the 330 cone. That was the whole deal. So I was supposed to run it to 330. Rob and CJ wanted to see me make one shift. Right? We were just going to come back and look at data. So I made it to 330 cone, and I looked down, and the AFR said 10.8. And I was like, perfect. And I just stayed in it because I was like, why not? Like, we're here, car's happy, I'm happy. Let's just grab 2 more gears and see what it does. So ran it out the back, and it went 670 at 106. Like I said, that's 3/10 faster, 3 or 4/10 faster than the Vet ever went, mainly because of the 60 foot. It's kind of sad that it takes 10 pounds of boost on a 5.3 to make the same kind of power that the Vet does in A, but that's beside the point. They go about the same speed. It's just one of them gets there a whole lot quicker because it leaves a whole lot quicker. But that was the first pass ever. It was making this really weird chirping noise the whole way down the track, which we eventually figured out, I think, was the pinion angle was not set right. But anyway, long story short, I ran 2 passes that day. I went 670 and a 660 something. All of Street and Yeet. I didn't change it, by the way. Like that was the deal. Is like I told myself, all right, whatever it runs on gate, that's what I'm running until the last day. Because I honestly, goal number 1 was make it. Goal number 2 was to finish. Goal number 3 eventually became run a 6 every day. Like as soon as I knew what it was going to do, I just wanted to be consistent at that point. And so I can honestly say I'm proud to have made it, survived it, and turned the 6 in every day. And it was honestly, aside from the suspension stuff that we have still got to work out, fairly uneventful in that regard. I had a few small issues on the road and a few small issues at the track trying to get some stuff to work. But other than that, I mean, I can dive into that stuff if you guys really want me to, or we can talk about some other stuff. But it ran, to answer your question, Bill, it went 670s to 690s all week, depending on what I was dealing with.
And you had fun and you made it. So that's huge.
And what did you say? How long did it take you to build the car? 4 months?
4 months.
So in 4 months, you dragged the car out from behind the shop. You slapped an engine together in a dirty garage. I threw that in there just for entertainment.
That was pretty dirty.
Pulled a bunch of trash from all over your garage, and you built yourself a mid 10-second stick car and no test drives, and you went and did an event. Like
I drove it to work one.
Yeah, you drove it to work one day.
Test drive. I drove it to work one day. Yep.
People are listening to this and hating you.
I might hate him a little bit too. What?
I don't know what it is about it, but like there's something that's been, it's more fun to do race car things with your race car friends than it is to do street car things with your race car friends. Like the Vet was cool and the Vet was super cushy. And it was super awesome whenever we had issues, because if anybody ever had a breakdown, they could just, I'm a competitor. I wasn't cheating at all. They could just hop in the Vet with me, and I would bomb them to wherever they needed to go to get their parts, at Mach speed. That part was great. Walking outside and not knowing if it was really going to start that day, that's living. That's when you're like, I'm here and I'm having fun. Is whatever you gotta work for it just a little bit. And I honestly, like the entire week for all of us, everybody in our little camp. I have some previous customers of my side hustle that have become really good friends from Georgia, and so they always come up and run these dragon drops with me and Rob in the Carolinas. And everybody there, we had very good success all week long. Bam and the Dirty Bird placed 3rd and limited. Obviously Rob ran 2nd, 5th in class, and just survived. And we just had a really good week. We had very minimal issues. The Mustang had a brake fitting that needed a little more Teflon tape on it, and a pinhole in the radiator that some cheap gas station stop leak has clearly fixed. It's not got a puddle in the floor. Rob really didn't have any issues at all. He thought obviously, like I can see the natural progression here. You guys need to get him on. He's way funnier than I am. But there was one day that, as his tuner, I will just take the bullet like up front and say that I may or may not have run him into a boost cut whenever he was getting ready to hole shot CJ on day 2. But when that happened, the first thing that he did is come back and tells me it's blown up because it laid over in 4th, and I had just made my own pass and I came back around and I pull up into the pits and he's like, it's blown up. And I'm like, all right, well, roll the plugs out of it. Let's see which hole it is, figure out which head we're swapping. And yeah, like I said, I ran him into a boost cut. That's why it laid over. And the story that you need to get from him is how we ended up raising that boost cut twice and almost doubling it by the time we got to the end of the week. So there's your little teaser for next week.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to dig into some stories with him. What clutch are you running in that car?
That's another really good story. You don't even know this one. So this was supposed to be like a random clutch that I had in the floor because I have a stack of clutches that I'm probably never going to use at this point. So if anybody wants a clutch, hit me up on Facebook because I probably can sell it. There's a couple of specs and monsters and an LS7 anyway. I was going to throw one of those clutches in that would likely hold this, 10 pounds of boost that I was planning on running and just make it. And somewhere in that 4 months, 2 months into my 4-month window, Matt Walter, another stick shift guy, posts up his Black Magic stamped clutch for sale. And so Rob runs a stamped clutch, the stamped Black Magic as well. And I'm like, man, I really don't want to spend this money on this, but it's a really good deal. And this would be perfect if both of us have the same clutch, right? I'm thinking this is brilliant because now I've got like 2 sets of data. I've got a lighter car, I've got a heavier car, I've got tons of boost. I got not so much I'm building this notebook, right? I'm thinking this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And I get it back. And so Matt runs an 18 spline deal. And so I bought it without the disc. I don't have a 26 spline input on my T50. Couldn't use the 18, bought it without the disc. So I get it and I'm stringing a tape measure across it and I'm getting on Ram's website to order a disc and I'm trying to get on Kale's website to see if he can get me a disc. And I'm like hitting on these roadblocks. I'm like, something's not adding up here. Like this is supposed to be an 11-inch clutch. This says 10. Pretty sure I know how to use a tape measure. I don't know what's like. This isn't surely he doesn't run an 11-inch disc with a 10-inch pressure plate. Like this, it started getting really confusing. Hopefully Matt watches this because I don't know if he even knew that this was a thing. But I ended up getting a hold of Tinsy, right? And so I'm talking to Tinsy about what I've got, and she finally is just like, "Where did you get this, and what is it? Because this, like, whatever you got, doesn't." You're not right. Like I had to send her pictures of the tape measure strung across this pressure plate. She didn't believe me. Like clearly I'm measuring something wrong. And she goes, "Where did you get this?" And I was like, "Well, I bought it off of Matt Walter." She goes, "I know what this is." It's apparently a one-off custom, 10-inch Black Magic stamped clutch that doesn't apply to Rob's clutch data anymore. Like we don't have the same clutch, which is not a good deal. It was a perfectly fine deal. It's not that big of a deal, but I ended up having to buy a Ram 10-inch disc, and the disc is actually stepped. It's not perfect for my setup, but far from not going to work. Obviously, it works great. It's fine. But to long-winded answer to your question, it's a very custom, special, one-off Black Magic stamped hat, 10-inch pressure plate, 3-lever.
3-lever.
So in the future, if you run into this spline issue, I know a couple of guys that could put new hubs on those discs for you.
Okay. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
You're smiling an awful lot about that. You know something a whole lot that I need to know about.
No, just that the 2 guys sitting here talking to you, we could change the hubs out if you need to.
Okay, all right. That is very good.
We built fixtures. Yeah, I should say my buddy. Sorry,
the first time I did it, I actually made it so I could bolt it together at the track.
Nice.
So I didn't have rivets, but I have rivets now. But I did use one that I drilled it all out and bolted it all together and Loctited it. It worked fine. Actually, that's what I used on Sick Week. And so I could change that hub to another one with a drill pretty easy. I'll probably use the rivets.
I've got to come up with like what I really need is a 10-inch flat disc. Like I need the 11-inch disc cut down to 10 inches. I don't honestly know how to do that. I mean, it seems like a really horrible thing to have to do. It's a centered iron disc with an interrupted cut. It's got all these pedals on it. Like so I just grabbed a random 10-inch and put it in and good jar.
I have have to boast here a little bit. My co-pilot is a killer machinist, and he built the fixtures for us to buck the rivets on these things. But he has also, like, I have a bunch of 10.5-inch discs, and my clutch is a 10, and he built a fixture to cut those down too.
Okay.
And it's no big deal.
I'll get a couple 11s and have to send them to you then, because that's really what I need is an 11 cut down to a 10. That's a flat face.
And he's gonna listen to this, and he's gonna go, "Oh, great! He just volunteered me for all this work."
Yeah, I mean, side hustle never hurt anybody.
Yeah, right. So, Jamie, just so you know, these might be coming our way.
Love Jamie.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm gonna have like 30 calls tomorrow. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
And what was your best 60-foot of the week with that clutch?
And you guys are gonna laugh.
Nice.
But for a guy that like previously, in the vet, I would run. It didn't matter what I did. It was about a 182 to a 185 is all that IRS not meant for traction in a straight line would do. You know, like I didn't put any effort into adjusting weight bias in the car, factory shock, factory spring, the thing slammed to the ground. Like it had no effort whatsoever in traction. So 180 something is all I could ever get. It would either wheel hop or spin, or before I changed the clutch, it would slip the clutch. There was just nothing I could do. And so to hop in this thing, so I did hop in Rob's car one time. Previously, I had been 702 was the best I ever took the vet. I hopped in Rob's car when we were testing for Street and Yeet and turned it down and put one of our Montana tunes in it, like one of our was, no prep style get down. The boost ramp was like 2 gears long, just super lazy. And I hopped in that thing and it went a 155 60 foot to a 604. And you would have thought that I just got out of the daggum space shuttle. Holy crap. Got all 4 gears, man, just bam, bam, bam. And so I knew kind of what I was getting into with this thing. Obviously, I didn't have it turned up near that much. I think even running Rob's car, it probably still made 15 or 18 pounds of boost. It just ramped it, from the beginning all the way to the end. And I just ran a flat 10 in my Mustang. So I didn't have the back half in the Mustang, but it still had to leave. And yeah, to go 147. Anybody that's watching this that has not actually driven a clutch car, you got the auto leave, right? Where you let go of the button and it hits and it accelerates. And what you get is what you get. And you kind of get a G peak and then it kind of just tapers off. But there is something about a clutch locking up that you get about 20 or 30 feet out. And that sucker feels like you are getting ready to go to space. It is the greatest feeling on the planet. I love it to death now. I'm hooked. Like a slipper clutch is awesome. Your eyeballs kind of touch your brain for a split second, and then you come back to reality and you got to drive. Instantly, you got to drive. It's just the best. And, if you do a drag and drive, you get to do it like 5 days in a row with all your friends.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's so true. And it makes the rest of the pass. We talked about this a lot on the podcast, where the rest of the pass is so much better when the clutch does its job in first gear. You can actually think, like, as soon as it locks up, you're like, oh, okay. Now I'm accelerating. Here comes the RPM, and now I shift. But when you try to launch and then bog and fall on its face and then accelerate and yard the tires off the ground again, like with a diaphragm clutch.
This week, so on day 0, the thing rolled out and ran great. And then for some reason, I came back in the pits and let somebody, talk me into bad decisions. DJ and Robert over there going, you got to have some bass in it. You got to have a little bass in it. And so I'm like, all right, fine. So, but yeah, right, Bill, that's where I'm at now. I'm like, man, that was done. Like the whole week, I'm like over here, like kind of riding the ragged edge with this one turn of bass in it. But so I put the turn of bass in it, right? And then I go up on day 1 and it bogged. And that's exactly what it did. I went out there, I let go. I did the same thing as before, 4,000 RPM leave, waited till I saw 7 or 8 pounds of boost somewhere in there and let go of it. And then it fell on its face. So I had to come back around and I got on lap. I mean, obviously I knew what the answer was, right? If it took it and it bogged, hit it harder. So I raised the 2-step 500 RPM. And next time I went back up, I waited on the boost. I was like, I'm going to make sure that I've got 9-10 pounds of boost in this thing. And it took it okay But then the rest of the week, like I did have some traction issues it seemed like it was just kind of on that edge. I need to make a lot of suspension adjustments is the next thing that needed to happen. But I was kind of on the edge there with that one turn of bass in.
And Aaron, were you on a bias plier or radial?
It's on a pro bracket. It's the same thing that Rob runs, and I honestly was trying to emulate his setup as much as I possibly could, just for the sake of having, hopefully a little bit of a notebook to fall back on all the times that we run his car before.
And you know what I love so much about the tire? When everybody says, "Yeah, I'm running PBRs," all I think of is Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst. Yeah. You got beer on your car?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we call them PBRs too. I know I have that little thought in the back of my head too, and get a little chuckle. I don't really honestly do anything about the tire. I know it's listed as a 28-10-5, but it's a radial, and I really don't know anything about it at all. Like I said earlier, I'm an engine guy. I just know that they work. Like they work really good, and we've had really good success with his stuff. And seems like they're nice and forgiving. They're going to help you all that they possibly can, and so it's what we run.
So I have a question. You said you were targeting 10 pounds of boost the whole week. So how in the heck did you hit a boost cut of 28 pounds if you're going for 10?
Last day, man, I was within sight of the trailer, and I was like, let's go run a 5. Yeah. So I'm working with a new ECU. I'm typically a Holly guy, and I do love Holly. Holly's really good for a lot of things, but I'm trying something different. And so I'm using this M-Tron ECU, and it's kind of more obscure and lesser known, but it's got a lot of really cool features. And one of the ways that it handles boost control is something called feed forward duty cycle, basically. What it's doing is you give it a table of what you think this is the duty cycle you need on your Mac valve to be able to achieve this level of boost. And then it's going to run closed loop. It's going to try that value. And then it's going to run closed loop on that value to run the manifold to the pressure that you're asking for in your boost target table. I wildly overcooked that initial guess. Like, I'm even impressed with myself that I missed it that far. And so anyway, it went to the moon. It absolutely went to 28. I think the biggest thing that I forgot, and even though this is the correct way to do it, is I just didn't think about the fact that I'm getting my feed pressure to feed the Mac valve pre-intercooler. So whatever the pressure drop across the intercooler, that then the reference line of the wastegate is working off the manifold that's post-intercooler, that difference in pressure, whatever that is, it wildly overran what I was doing. If I had gotten my feed pressure from the manifold, it probably would not have been as extreme. But I think I just picked a number that was just too high. And so I don't know what it was, but I'm going to ask it later.
And you're running twins on this, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a random set of Precision 6266s that I actually had from a Corvette turbo kit that I bought while I was hoarding and never used. So we took that whole turbo kit, stainless piping, aluminum piping, whatever we need, wastegates, blow-off valves, whatever we needed, intercooler. Yeah, that car's got a C6 intercooler on it. We hacked everything up and used it as needed to make the kit work. And I honestly love those little things because even on a 5.3, it's like having a supercharger. They light so fast. You get any amount of RPM in it and put your foot to the floor, and you've got 10 pounds of boost. It's completely unusable at all on the street. But even just driving the thing down the track, the first day I was there, I didn't do the shift cut, where I left my foot on the floor. I just, swapped feet like any old hot rod, mainly just to not screw anything up. I just wanted to make sure that I got in each gear. And speaking of blowing up that 5.3, I definitely money shifted that thing on day 0 and got away with it. But
Jeez.
I'm telling you, dude, like the thing will never blow up. I did a good old 3.2 going instead of going 3.4, I went 3.2 right across the stripe. Knocked about 10 mile an hour out of it and still went faster than the previous path. But anyway, when I was doing this swap feet thing, the boost curve is flat. By the time you get your foot back in it, the boost curve just follows the throttle trace. It's extremely impressive. So I'm loving those.
Yeah, I have some Garrett's on mine, but they're about 60-10.
Yeah.
My motor's a little bigger, but yeah, it makes boost pretty quick. And even at this altitude, I'm at 8,000 feet, and man, first and second gear on the street, just there's no point. And if it's cooler outside, third gear, I had to put bigger wastegates on it to get it to make less boost on the street.
Yeah. I'm honestly like kind of tire shopping right now. I'm trying to find a tire that is like a little bit of fun on the street. I mean, I can't put a slick on it or anything, but I like to find a semi-sticky tire that I have an ounce of hope of, not dying if I ever did decide to play with it a little bit. I mean, I'm not like, I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating. It's like 20% throttle in first gear and it'll light them up. Like it takes nothing. The tires are not good. I mean, let me preface that. The tires are just some random, Sumitomos that I had from way, way, way back. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. I love it.
It's awesome. So you had a line lock, and did you have a clutch switch? Did
Oh
you have
yeah, I
those things
forgot.
set up?
I had a line lock, but it died halfway through the trip. That's the number one. That's the only failure I had, was that the line lock it still clicks. You can put your hand on it and it clicks, but like after we bled the brakes, maybe I did something wrong, but after we bled the brakes, after we had a small leak, it just never worked. Never got it. It would not hold the car. I mean, sitting on a hill, it wouldn't hold the car. So got to go back and I got to work on that and figure out what was going on with it. Yeah, I run a shock travel sensor on the clutch, and so I've got clutch position, and the ECU gets that clutch position where I can, turn the two-step off at whatever height I want to turn that off based on where the clutch is at. And I can actually do some with the M-Tron. I can do some really cool stuff where, like I've got it set up now to do the clutch, to do the shift cut, where it just cuts ignition and it'll fall into the next gear. But I have it set up where if I hit 30% on the clutch pedal, like if I have to pedal it or something, or if I gotta drive it, I can tap the clutch pedal and it'll cut the ignition to like 5,400 RPM, which is my on RPM for the
Two-step.
shift. So
Yeah.
I can, like, if I'm to the floor, it goes to the two-step target, 4,500 RPM. But if I just tap the top of the pedal, it'll go to the shift cut RPM. So I got a lot of options there in terms of how to drive it. Like if you, for some reason, I'm trying to think of the scenario and it's really hard to come up with, but if you had to drive it out of, a spin or a bog or whatever, I don't know what it would be. A wheelie would be a really good example. Like if it did ever come up, once I start laying into it, at least my plan right now after watching Rob and CJ do what they did is just try to grab a gear. It's like the little blip is like just enough to stop the upward momentum and start heading back the other way. But then also the problem with a stick car, right, is if you just let out of the gas, the same momentum sending you to the moon, it drags you down. And so having that little neutral moment where you're in between gears and you're not actually applying power, it seemed like that was what Rob needed to settle his down this week and get it to just drive out. If we could make it to the shift cut in the air, it was going to the moon. That's what it needed.
It's just a matter of time before it's wheeling, for sure, I think.
Yeah, I know. It's got a lot of nose weight right now, and I'm thankful for that. But
Yeah.
that means it's going to try to flip over backwards when I finally get it in the air.
Well, did you weigh it at any of the tracks?
I didn't weigh it any of the tracks, just scaled it before we left.
And so what does it weigh?
It's 26 before I get in it.
Oh my God. That's just like cheating, Rich. You hear that?
That's way
He's
smarter.
11.
The problem is
man.
it's 58 on the nose, but that's with the iron engine, and the hot rod motor that's going to make about twice as much power as the one that's in it is aluminum. So I should be able to pull 100 off the nose.
Nice.
It's going to blow up first pass, though. So
Oh, she put
I
that
don't
in
know
the
what. I'll
work.
be back in.
I thought we were thinking that. He takes not going to take it back. Yeah, it should be.
I take it back.
It should be about 27 starting line with the new motor and me in it, depending on how much fuel's in the tank. The fuel tank is like 100 pounds. Like you can kind of pick how much fuel you want to have in it and move weight around.
That's like 1,000 pounds lighter than my car at the starting line.
I'm going to tell you what Rob said whenever I sent him a picture of the scales. It's a family chain.
Okay. Well, we'll just ask him.
Yeah.
I am really happy with it. Like it's going to be a ton of fun. I have no idea how far, I'll take it. The main thing I want to do is have fun with it. I want to go. My kids are like, just my oldest is starting to cuss the interest in like going to the drag strip. We took him to the drag strip a couple months ago and just hung out. And so I got pie in the sky dreams of, taking a Blackstone and throwing the car in the trailer and the whole family in the truck and just going to some testing tunes and just honestly just running the car. Just, play with it a little bit. And if it goes faster, great. And if it doesn't, great. Blow it up, great. Like I really just want to go play with it. And I think there's a ton of potential left. I mean, it's a Fox Body Mustang. They're known for going kind of
Yep.
Yeah.
we made a bunch of suspension components for the car. And the biggest thing I need to do is get the upper torque boxes that are adjustable and try to play with some upper bar angle stuff. And once I can play those games, then I think it's gonna be pretty awesome, honestly. But first thing out, I got to move the lower and try to lower the car again. I got to get it as low as I can possibly get it. Get some bar angle in the top. I think that's the biggest problem I struggled with the whole week was it looked like it was leaving really good. It transferred weight really good, but it just got kind of numb. Like it would come up a couple inches and then just stop. And I think I just need a little bit more separation at the rear end and try to get a little more angle in the upper, and it's going to come around pretty good. Then I'm going to hit it hard. That's the other thing is just get angry with it and try to actually hit it with some power.
Yeah. Do you know chassis stuff pretty well, or do you have somebody you work with?
No, that's to be totally honest with you. This car is really like like as guys, what we do is we go and we like find a thing and then we conquer it. And we get bored and we go do the next thing. And this car is kind of that for me. I've done the engine thing. I've been so fortunate to see like so much engine stuff that I can't even talk about, and the stuff that I can talk about is immense. And so being that I've got to play with so many exotic engines and do so many crazy things and see so many engine technologies, and then get to come home and build engines for fun, myself, and built Rob's engine and build engines for all my buddies, and obviously build all mine extremely poorly. And so whenever I have kind of constant thing, now I kind of like need another thing. And so as I've been tuning for Rob, like what's been really cool with him is I've hit this point where the only way that I can make the car go faster is to take power away because we can't get the wheelies out of it. And so I don't like that place, right? Like as an engine tuner, I'm trying to figure out how much and how fast can I cram power into this thing as much and as quick as possible. And so we had that conversation. It's like, man, the only way that I know how to get the wheelie out is to pull power out. And that's not the answer. The last day that we were up there, he ended up turning into 538. But that was after he pedaled it because we were going for 490s. Like if it stuck, you were gonna see up 490. Like I put a tune up in that thing, mile an hour faster than if a mile an hour what CJ mile an hour on his 505 or 502 pass with the pedal and had a 60 foot that was a tenth better. Like it was gonna be the number, but it just did. It just shook the tire top of first gear and like it just didn't take it. So I know there's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas in bench racing, but that was what the goal was. We just can't keep that car down. And so he's obviously spending, way too much money to fix his deal up. And we're going to come back and do really crazy stuff with it. But that's what I want to learn with the Mustang. That's a really long answer to your question is like, now I've got this thing that it's not somebody else's car I'm running. Like if I want to go learn something about some suspension stuff, I'll go put it in my Mustang and go run to the track with my, wife and kids, and we'll cook some hot dogs, and I'll go try some bar angle stuff, or I'll go try some shock settings, or I'll go play with a clutch and a bar angle. And, I want to do all that stuff and rely on my friends and also get the data myself to kind of have an understanding. I have a fundamental understanding is kind of the best way I can put it. So I know what it's all supposed to do, but I don't know how much of it. I don't know what a big change is really yet and what a small change really is. I want to kind of get into that stuff and, put weights in the car and, move weight around and change nothing else and see how it works. And I got a whole list of just things I want to try. Just gonna have fun with it.
It is the most enjoyable part. Like, people ask me all the time, like, why are you trying to go so fast with a heavy ass stick car? And it's the challenge. The fact that it's going 174 is not by accident. I mean, it's taken a lot of work and, and sometimes you kick yourself in the ass when you realize you're telling me if I were to put 1.5 pounds of boost more on launch like 2 years ago, I would have been rattling 135 60 foots, like, but you know, it's all that tweaking, it's all that stuff that makes it fun, and I'm the same as you. I'd rather learn it myself, and even though yours is a Fox body with an LS in it, it's still different than the other guys. Like, it's still different. You still got to figure out your combination and how well it's going to work, and
Yeah.
substantially different than the automatic world for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that if somebody's watching this that hasn't done it before needs to realize, you need to go in. You're going to think that it's not going to be that hard to run a 590 in the 8, right? And you're going to think it's not going to be that hard to run a 550. And you're going to think, like, well, this guy over here did it. If he can do it, I can do it, right? And the answer is, yeah, you can, but it's probably going to take you 3 years, 2 engines to do it. Like, it's just the reality of learning your own combination and deciding you're going to do it a different way than somebody else. I mean, that's honestly, I don't want to steal Rob's thunder. You guys definitely need to have him on, but like, his car has been the one that I've learned all this on. And so that's the one that I've got the experience with. And we looked at everybody's combos, and I'll be the first one to say, I'm like, hey, let's do this different because I think this is going to be better. And I have deleted the heads on that car 3 times now, thinking that I was going to do better. Now I figured out what not to do. I have a really, really good long list of what not to do. I'd love anytime anybody wants to know, what not to do. I'm happy to share it. But
give us a couple. Give us a couple.
Okay, here's the number one thing. The number one thing, if you're going to run methanol, you have got to get the methanol injectors. They're expensive. It's painful. It's buy once, cry once. It sucks. But you've got to get the methanol injectors that have the stainless steel ball in them and do not have some kind of rubber seal or Viton seal or whatever the seal material is. We screwed that up royally and deleted heads on that thing multiple times. And I'm talking, if y'all knew, I'm not even going to get into it because I've already decided that we're not going to tell CJ how fast we're going to go next year at Street and Yeet because we did it this year and he just went like a little faster. Yeah. I watched the podcast. He literally we told him what we were going to do. We did it, and then he decided to benchmark off that and go a little faster. I knew what he's thinking. Rob might tell him, but I can tell him what we're doing. The thing with that is, though, those injectors, like your regular old style injector, they swell up and they stick, and you won't know it until it's making 30 pounds of boost because there's so much methanol. When you dump fuel in a methanol engine, there's so much methanol that it'll trade enough fuel cylinder to cylinder to stay running. But the problem is it's globally lean, right? When that happens, you got one or two holes that are way lean compared to everything else around it. And so those holes will torch the head. I mean, it's not a head gasket problem. I'm saying I melted the cylinder heads off of the engine. Like, it has a hole in it that was out of the spark plug. Like, it went away.
So you let the fire out.
We let the fire out, the smoke out, the water out, all of it. I mean, like puddles on the ground. It's impressive what you can do with methanol. And like, if you need a plasma cutter, it's a really good option. But if you get the good injectors and you stay on top of the injector maintenance, like part of our ritual now is when we go out to run the car, we test every single injector audibly and by touching it to make sure that it is firing and clicking. We're not flowing them every week, right? But that particular injector, we've actually even had the stainless steel ball meant for methanol injectors will hang up if you just leave them sitting for a month. The way his deal is set up is it's dual fuel and it's super clean and trick and slick. It's awesome because it switches from pump gas to methanol at a couple pounds of boost, and you never even know that it switched because it switches during the 2-step. The flames turn from orange to blue, and that's the only indication that you know that he's actually switched different fuels. But what's nice about it is it's super clean. What's not nice about it is the only time you're running methanol is in anger. You're not sitting in the pits. You don't hear it in a pole, right? Like, you're not noticing that, oh, hey, that header tube is, that doesn't sound right. You can hear it on on an actual methanol car when they come back or they fire them up and they got a stuck injector or something. It's an audible miss. We don't have that option. So we have to be really diligent with it. We got to check them and make sure that they're not going to stick. And I think the bigger you get, the worse that can be. And I know Injector Dynamics makes a 2200 cc injector that's it's a standard style body the thin like LS3 style body, but it actually is all stainless construction inside that's meant for methanol, and it says it pretty specifically in the purchasing or in the description that it's for methanol. So the guys that are running Bosch 210s and stuff just know that like the first 4, 5, 6 months they're going to work really good, and then about 9 months in, you're going to torch ahead, and you're going to think that you have way too much timing in it, so you're going to pull a bunch of timing out of it, and then you're going to go back and you're going to torch another head on the other side of the motor, and not have any idea why it's happening until you just change the injectors. That's been fun. It's a rough way to live.
Yeah.
We did that a lot. We did that 6 hours from the truck in Kentucky one time. That was not a fun day. So anyway, that's the number one nugget for methanol is just get the right stuff. We tried to skimp on it and be cheap. And it's really, that's the other thing. It's really easy to get cheap when you're building the whole car all at once, right? Because you got all these different areas: clutch, transmission, engine, ECU, dash, seats, safety, all these different places.
Flowing, yeah.
They're sucking you dry, sucking the wallet dry, and you're like, well, maybe I can get these, $600 injectors instead of these, $1,800 injectors. No, you can't. It's way cheaper to get to go ahead and get. You won't have to buy 3 sets of heads, right? If you just get the $1,800 injectors. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's good. That's
I'm not going to take my own advice. Let me be clear. I'm not going to take my own advice. I literally told you a half hour ago that I put an engine together and measured nothing. I'm not going to take my own advice. You should.
All right. Okay. So what's the second nugget? I won't ask for any more.
I know you want another nugget. Make sure you're having fun. There was a couple of moments in there where at least putting mine together, where I had to decide if I was still having fun or not. And so I would say, make sure you're having fun there's 2 sides to it, right? Like if I didn't say I'm going to Street and Yeet with this car, it would still be on jack stands and it would be a third of the way finished. You got to pick something and say, all right, this is what I'm doing and this is where I'm going and this is my goal. Even if you don't make it, like in Rob's instance, like in 2023, we didn't make it. But when we got home, we had a car that was 99% done. It just didn't have the bugs worked out of it. Yeah, we went to work, and in 4 months from Midwest to Street and Yeet, Rob finished third at Street and Yeet with a synchronized transmission. That was 2023, and then in 2024 he finished second. I mean, I'm stealing his thunder. I'm gonna quit stealing his thunder. But basically, what I'm going is have a goal, pick a goal, draw a line in the sand, do that. And even if you miss the goal, you're going to be way, way closer than if you didn't. But at the same time, man, have fun. If you're not having fun, I don't know if that's the right thing, but
yeah, no, that's
my
excellent.
first drag week, we bent just about every valve in that motor on the dyno about a week before we were supposed to leave.
That's fun.
And yeah. And the timing belt was missing the lower collar to hold the belt on. And we only had the timing belt on it to try to dial the advance in the camshaft. Yeah, that thing popped off. We watched it on the dyno. And in the dyno, Ryan Brown was his name. We looked at each other and went, did you see what I saw? And because the engine just stopped and it was like, oh, yeah.
It's
all the
amazing
valves
how
looked really
stopped.
Yeah.
Rich, what you got going on there?
You can hear some cats outside the door, can you?
I hear some angry pussy in your.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that is, yep.
Go feed the cat, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's funny.
All right. Well, we've had Aaron on here for an hour and a half. How are we doing on the questions?
Well, his nuggets are kind of a good segue, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely are.
Is there something coming I'm not aware of?
Well, we've got this TKO round of questions, and we did send you these ahead of time. So, like, I'll start with the first.
5 hours ago.
I'll start with first gear. Yeah, I'll start with first gear tonight. So, Aaron, what's the first car you owned or modified?
Oh man, first car I owned and the first car I modified were the same car. I had when I was 15 and a half, my dad got me a 1992 third gen Camaro. And I still to this day, I've got a soft spot for third gen Camaros. I currently own 2 of them, and I don't know what it is about those cars. They're not like inherently amazing vehicles, but man, there's just something about them that's super cool. And so, yeah, the first one I very quickly got modified. Air cleaner flipped. I mean, keep in mind I'm 15 and a half, so air cleaner flipped. Lid flipped over, cat hollowed out, like all the typical, teenager just dumb stuff that you and then It eventually progressed into a new engine. Got rid of the 305 and went to a 350. Obviously, a 5-speed. Clearly a T5 car. Like, I
Good
don't.
man. Good
I
man.
don't drive automatics for what it's worth. I've not driven an automatic ever. Like as a hot rod. Obviously, my pickup is an automatic because I have to go to work every day. But as far as hot rods go, they're all going to have a clutch in them. But yeah, that was the first car, and unfortunately, not of my doing, ended up flipped over. So I don't still have that first car, but I've got a lot of parts and pieces from that first car. I've still got that engine. I've still got that transmission.
You are a hoarder.
The rear end from that car is actually in my because obviously it had 410s and an Auburn diff, and like it was a beefed up rear end. So I saved the rear end out of it, and that's currently what's in my current third gen. That's got a LS3 and a T56. So
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
that's that was the first one. I started it all.
All right, well,
Right on. Right
let's
on.
bang it into second gear. And so what, in your opinion, has been the biggest technology change to move our sport forward? Don't ask a valvetrain guy that question.
That's a doozy right there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am biased to valve springs because I know all the effort we put into that, but I don't know that that's trickled down yet to like the general industry. I think it will eventually, but unfortunately, there's also a dollar amount that's tied to that performance. So it's hard to trickle that down too far. But anyway, honestly, if I look at it, if I look at it a little bit broad, I think EFI has been really, really big. I remember whenever in the mid 2000s when like 5.3 trucks were new, and people would say on the forums anything more than 5-6 pounds of boost, you're going to break your 5.3. That's clearly not aged well at all, and
No.
I really do attribute that mostly to engine management, right? Because the parts and the pieces didn't change. I think engine management's big. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on carburetors. I know that they work really well in the correct application for them. But from an industry-wide standpoint, I think EFI and aftermarket EFI has come a very long way. Looking at specifically stick shift stuff, I think material science and all the current wave of drag racing has really forced the T56 industry to respond. It's been really cool. If you look, like ever since Garrett went to 7 with the vet cart deal, that started this massive wave that the next thing you know, like you can't even run your local stick shift class if you can't run a bottom 5. So I think that's probably one of the biggest innovations, at least is the development of the T56 has pushed stick shift racing to a ridiculous level at this point. Guys running mid sixes in the quarter mile with a 4-speed. It's just kind of silly.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah. All right, so let's palm it up into third gear. And if you could spend one day with someone, anyone, who would it be and what would you do?
I saw this question. I thought about it a whole lot. This is honestly not a cop-out. Like this is something I've been working on for a while. I am trying really hard, and it's not against her will because she's been to the racetrack quite a bit, but I would love to go and hang out with my wife at a racetrack and not have an agenda, not have anywhere to be, and go sit in a trailer and eat sandwiches while race cars go down the racetrack, and got a car sitting out in the parking lot. And I'm gonna like, all right, babe, I'm gonna hop in and go make a pass. Let's go have fun, and we're gonna make that happen. That's on our to-do list. Our kids right now are 1, 3, and 4, so
It's busy.
it's busy. Yeah, it is busy, and she needs to get a shout out for those 4 months that she put in building that car, because I was not inside with the kids. I was out there every moment. Every day I'd get home from work and slam a meal down and hang out with the kids for a couple hours and get them into bed, and then I'd go out in the shop till 2 or 3 in the morning. And so I'm hoping that ends up paying off. But I hope we end up having a family race car, and I'm thankful that my kids are into it. But I want to go hang out with her. And if she can't make it, then I'll hang out with Rich. I'll go. I'll pick him. I am going to get to a place where you're at some point. I feel like we make this like circle around each other of drag and drive.
Totally.
It's unintentional. But like we go to one and you're at the other one. And so we'll see you at Rag and Race. I'm actually excited about that. Finally get to Hopefully get
will
a
be fun.
couple of two-step shots.
So which ones are you planning to do this coming year?
I think, to be totally honest with you, I think we're probably going to take this year light so that we can absolutely curb stomp anybody that shows up to Street and Yeet in 26. I think, I mean, Rob wants to
480s,
change.
480s, CJ, 480s, CJ.
I'll tell you guys, I'm not telling CJ, but I'm telling you guys, like, I think we're going to just try to win the overall. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, if you win the overall, you won the whole, I mean, you definitely won stick, right? Like, they'll give you 2 medals for that. Like, I don't see why not. I mean, I'm setting the goal, just go win the whole thing. 480's won it this year. Let's just go win the whole thing, and then we don't have to worry about, whoever's running stick. And
I love it.
I don't know if it's achievable or not. I have no idea, but I'm like, I can sniff it from here. And so I mean, we finally are like pouring the power to it, and now it's a suspension game again. So yeah, I want to do that. We probably are not gonna. Well, so to answer your question, we always run Carolina Drag Cruise. Anybody that doesn't know about Carolina Drag Cruise, it is a perfect get your feet wet event. And I don't want to sell it short because it's just a really good event, but it's cool because it's a weekend deal. You race Thursday, Friday. You got your cruise, your drive, whatever on Saturday, and then you race again on Sunday. All of the race days are tied in with local tracks and their test and tune night. So you are there with a larger crowd, but it's nice because the entry fee is extremely low. It's like whatever a test and tune entry fee, $20 or whatever to each day, and then $100 for the event. It's super cheap to get into. Just a really good. You're not sure if you want to do drag and drive. It's a really good drag and drive to get into. A little short,
Good.
weekend, look reasonably small, circle of tracks. Like you're not doing the whole East Coast like you're doing with like a Midwest Drags type of deal or a drag week or anything like that. It's in the North Carolina, South Carolina, region. So we'll do that. I probably will have the Mustang for that, and we'll probably run both cars at that deal. And then I think we're going to test a lot. I think we're going
You're
to
doing
run
bragging rights now, right?
We're doing bragging rights. We're going to run some heads up stuff. Try to find some like we have 704 Outlaws around here that we can maybe run some stuff. And I don't have hard dates on any of that stuff yet, but for sure drag cruise, bragging rights. We'll see what we run into in the middle of the summer. And I think we're probably not going to take the Mustang to Street and Yeet in 26 because I think I'm going to ride with Rob, and we're absolutely going to crush souls is kind of the plan at this point. That may change. We'll see if he ends up if his dad or his brother or somebody wants to ride with him. Maybe maybe I'll take the Mustang. He just needs some extra help slinging tires and putting parachute on and doing stuff like that. And the one thing that kind of came up this year that was mildly frustrating, but I understand, is that I missed a couple of class calls with my car because I was up at the starting line doing my routine with Rob to run his car. I kind of understand the staff's frustration with me, but at the same time, I want them to understand too that I poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that car. I want to be on the starting line whenever it goes that forward. I built the engine, I built the transmission, I built the rear end, I wired it, unit. Like that thing is a lot of my brainchild, and I'm very, very excited for that car. So I didn't want to miss it. Other than lining up right beside of him, if I'm not in the lane next to him, I'm gonna be on the starting line. And so I did miss a couple of calls. Had to wait for all run to be able to run my own car, but it wasn't a huge deal. But it makes it a little bit complicated, like fast paced. Makes it kind of hard to come back and make changes to your own car and run, because I end up going right at the end of my own class, and then I got to come flying back around. And if it wasn't a perfect run, I got to make a change and go. So we might not run 2 cars at Street and Yeet. We might just run one. And I think I would like to eventually get to the point where we run probably 1 car at a time. I'd like to get where Rob can drive a Mustang if he needs to, and we can, if we want to take the heavy hitter to some big event, then we'll take his car. And if we want to just go run mine and have some fun, then we can do that. But we'll see. I'll change my mind next week. Don't worry.
The funny part is, when you look at the progression of drag racing, you just described that you and your buddy took a 7-second car and a 10-second car, rode solo, drove them on the street, went and make passes, and accomplished. Both cars finished. And because Rob's will clearly run 7. at low fives. So it's just crazy that we're even talking at that level. And it hasn't been that long, right? It hasn't been that long that we've been able to make cars go that fast and drive them on the street and keep it together without a whole crew. Like, how many 7-second cars have a whole crew running it? You guys are like driving it by yourselves, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yep, 7-second stick shift car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
nuts.
no joke. Yeah.
And I really do attribute that largely to the advances in EFI. Going back to that question earlier, like you see where the aftermarket EFI has gotten us to, and I think that makes that very plausible. Being, having his dual fuel system that does all that stuff for you on the fly, and this M-Tron that I'm playing with now is wild. Like, it can do way more than I can do at this point, so I got a big learning curve to go with that. But it's great. I mean, the safety is built in for you. It compensates for you. Like, can't tell you how many times we just let Holly closed loop take the wheel and just let it do its thing, and it works really good. It works great.
Yeah.
It got us here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. Okay, well, that was a long third gear.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That was awesome.
Somebody said I talk a lot.
You kind of touched on this one already, but what influences you to build your car?
It started with my dad and all the NASCAR stuff. Like, I'm an RPM junkie. That's why I get along with Ben Schrader so well. That's my thing. It was high RPM NASCAR engines is what like got me up in the morning for many years, and still do. But the thing that you kind of realize with circle track racing, if you do it long enough, like, I don't want to ruin this for anybody, is that the ability for the car to turn left is far superior to making circle track speed than the engine's power. So it's fun. I love it. The technology is unreal. The dollars that come with it that afford you to have the technology and learn so much that definitely applies to other engines is incredible. But it's a very small little niche thing. NASCAR engines are like this. It's a very overdeveloped engine that's been around for a very long time. And so the cool part about drag racing and building drag race engines is, there are way less rules, and you get to do what you want, and you can pretty much do is, at least in the drag and drive world. And that's one of the best parts about stick shift, right? Is like, we don't have rules. It's just H pattern, and here's your tire. A lot of times there's not even a weight rule. Sometimes that's the only thing you'll run into. A third rule might be the weight rule, but like, it's very still Wild West, run what you run kind of racing. I love that about it. I mean, that's the best part, is I get to go dream something up that's just ridiculous, that has no shot at working, and then figure out how to make it work. And hopefully it's a little bit better if we get really good at it. That's the initial influence. Definitely was my dad's career in the NASCAR engines, and it still is. I still get to see all that stuff. I can't unlearn the things that I've learned from that over the years, but I don't share them. I just do them and then outrun everybody. Is kind of the plan.
Nice.
Nice.
So speaking about outrunning everybody, let's put it in the first overdrive, fifth gear.
Oh boy, it's a 6 speed, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, we got 6 coming. So
Okay.
fifth gear, what in your opinion is the secret to stick shift drag racing?
Can I have more than one?
Sure.
Like, it's a lot of them.
As long as you're sharing secrets, you can have as many as you want.
It's the whole package, man. It's like, well, okay, so like, just honestly, like, the slipper clutch cannot be overlooked. There's a lot of guys that hate on the slipper clutch. That's fine. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But guys that have the slipper clutch, they rebuild their transmissions far less often than the guys who don't. Rear gears and axles and drive shafts, and like that. I think the slipper clutch has made it possible to both be consistent and also reliable on these drag and drives. That was kind of I think that's probably one of the biggest secrets to it. Is it's not so much about cutting that really fast 60 foot once. It's about cutting that really fast 60 foot 5 days in a row, and not being concerned whether or not you're going to have first gear in the transmission every day. That's I'm gonna go with slipper clutch, and secondly is all the T56 advancements. It doesn't make any sense, by the way. Like, we took this completely stock style transmission, all right, that was meant to go in like an F body, and then we just completely re-engineered the thing outside, inside and out, billet case, and all the aftermarket shafts and gears, and all the dog rings. Like, we're deleting fifth and sixth for the outlaw guys. It's like, why not just get a properly built 4-speed. But no, let's just take this T56 and do it because that's the one that makes the most sense.
Right.
Yeah.
The
It's
best
crazy.
parts of the double overdrive, let's just throw that in the trash.
Yeah, get their mount. It's like 4 pounds. We can't have that in the outlaw numbers. Like 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
It is a really weird little market. Like you're talking about $25,000 billet T56s. It's like, I feel like we could have just clean slated this and come up with a lighter, better, stronger transmission, but they have over-engineered that thing to death. So I'm for it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Well, let's go into the second overdrive.
Oh yeah.
What's your first memory of making a pass in a stick car?
That would be my second hot rod. I got a 1998 Camaro LS1 256, 342 rear gear, which is part of this story. You know, those cars are not known for having the strongest rear ends in them. It's good old GM 7.5, and I didn't break it, but I was how old was I? I was young, teens, and I wasn't supposed to go to the drag strip, but I did, and I was so worried, just worried sick about that glass rear end in that car the whole night. You know, 2.1 60 foots on street tires. Just it wasn't about going fast. It was just about rowing gears and having fun and making it home without Dad finding out that I went to the drag strip because he didn't want to break the car. That car ended up getting 410s also under the radar when nobody was looking. Which is that's its own story in itself, but we don't have time for that. But yeah, you do a lot of fun stuff whenever you're a kid. And if my dad sees this, I love you, Dad, and you're the reason that I'm here today. So we're walking to the bridge now, right?
That's right. That's right. All right, Aaron. So, do you have any social media sponsor plugs you want to lay out here?
Yeah, I probably need to thank a handful of people. I have GSP, Green Sports Performance, is my own little side hustle thing that I kind of do. I don't do a lot of it. I do a lot of tuning now, more support for customers and relationships that I've already made. I tune a lot of Holly stuff, and now I'm getting into the Imtron world. But part of that little side deal is I've been fortunate enough to work with Callie's a bunch, and we're actually the Rob's valvetrain. I'm going to plug it here because he's not going to know some of these details when you talk to him. That valvetrain that we have got in his car is a custom Callie's camshaft. And when I say custom, I mean we worked on the load profiles together to go along with our spring in conjunction. The whole point of it being a drag and drive car is I wanted to use a stock lifter, a stock rocker arm, a stock valve. I wanted to use as much stock stuff as I possibly could so that we can get that stuff on the road if we ever did have a failure for some reason. Knock on wood, it's actually been extremely reliable. Turns 8 to 8,500 RPM with a factory lifter and a 3/8 push rod, a factory rocker arm, 100-gram valve. It's actually, and another point to that is I wanted to have stock cylinder heads, stock valves. Like there's nothing special in that valve train at all. But the reason we wanted the RPM is one, it helps the clutch so much, right? If you can, the bigger the spread you can get in the clutch, it really helps being able to lock the clutch up and makes your tuning window a lot bigger on the launch. And then the other part of it is just being able to put more gear in the back so we can mile an hour the quarter stuff. Working with Callie's on that. My engine is going to have version 2 of that camshaft that has been developed around hollow stem valves to even take it further. I may or may not have some Spintron work that we did that says 9,000 on it, but we'll see if I can make the Mustang do that, and we'll make some really good noises if I can get to 9 on a hydraulic, roller with a stock lifter. Other stuff in there, I guess that's mainly the big 2 sponsor wise that I need to plug. I had just a lot of fun with my friends, and thank my wife again for putting up with me doing this crazy project and not enough time. I'm going to tentatively say that I won't build another car in 4 months again, but like I said, I'll change my mind next week on the spot because I don't want to forget anybody. I mean, another sponsor plug, call it whatever you want to call it. Rob absolutely worked his butt off on my car. I feel a little bit guilty because we could have been testing, but I don't think he would change any of it, and I can't say that I would either. We had a lot of fun, and we both agree that if CJ Roberts had not been there going really fast, we would not have gone that fast because we wouldn't have tried to go that fast.
Yeah.
Having a competitor to be able to push it is it's always, especially a good competitor, a gracious competitor, a guy that's going to hand you 50 pounds of weight to hang on the nose so that you can outrun him. Having that guy in your corner. Oh, he sent me a drive shaft for my car, by the way. That was a couple weeks before I was kind of in panic mode because I didn't have a drive shaft for my own car, and CJ sent me his old one. So that's the kind of guy CJ is. So
Nice.
thanks
Nice.
for the it's a Richards Performance drive shaft, and he'll get that joke when you guys won't, but when he watches this, he'll get a good chuckle out of that.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think we'll wind this thing down. You should be able to find, well, if you're listening to this, you've obviously found it on a podcast platform or YouTube. And we would love to see you all at PR. I will be at the BangShift Billy booth 3210. And it would be awesome if you come up in a Clutch Burners t-shirt or a Stick Shift Nation shirt, hat, or stickers. Also, those can be had over at stickracing.com. So go over there and grab your merch. And I think that's about it. You got anything else, Rich?
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate your time, Aaron. This has been a blast. 2
Yes,
hours has
definitely.
been, it's great to hear the story and all the details behind it. And once again, amazing performance. A 10-second car in a 4-month build, stick shift, no passes before you went. You survived the week. And how many stick cars were there in that class?
28.
Nice.
And you were
nice.
4th or 5th.
Yeah, I just found out like 2 days ago that I was 4 1,000ths off of 4th place. Like I didn't know that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had known that, I could have just run one more pass and cleared it. Like it had it in it. I turned in a 70 on the last day. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's here nor there. But yeah, thanks for having me
You're
on.
in the top 5.
Yeah, it was top 5. I mean, you call it what you want to call it, but
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I appreciate
That's
the invite on here, man. There's just like there's so much cool stuff that I'm excited that you guys are uncovering and getting into this. Not only the drag and drive world, but it's also what doing it with a man pedal. So I love it, and
Cool.
I appreciate the invite.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks,
Awesome.
and hang out for a second, but we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks,
All
Bill.
right. All right. Out.